space shuttles are go on internal.
Roger. All systems are internal.
Roger. SSL, you have a clear to launch.
We've come so far, yet there's so very far to go. We've watched our dreams become reality. We have tasted of what the future holds in store for us, and realize that we hold all the keys. And tomorrow's filled with promise stretched forever. The future's like a never-ending theme.
Maintenance fund, come in. Can you see the problem?
This is News Today with WDW News Today. I'm Tom Corliss of WDWNT.com. Please like this video, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell to make sure you never miss the latest from the Disney theme parks all around the world. Here now the news for January 15th, 2025, the 50th anniversary of Space Mountain. More on that in a few moments. I'm here. I'm in the ball pit. Get it? Anyway. Disney has revealed that an exclusive Passholder magnet and frozen lavender lemonade drink are coming soon to Walt Disney World. Disney announced the new offering in the Passholder Buzz section of the My Disney Experience app, stating, "The Minute Maid Premium Lemonade combines the tart brightness of lemon with the flavors of lavender inspired by New Orleans' influence on American cuisine, and it's topped with a glowing lotus flower." That looks familiar. Where could that light up thing be from? This beverage complements your new array magnet perfectly. I know there might be some newer Disney fans, some newer Disney World fans here. The Lotus Flower Glow Cube thing is from Rivers of Light. That was made for the Rivers of Light show when it debuted in it was supposed to debut in 2016. Was it 2017 it got delayed to? Is that right? Obviously that show didn't work out. But this thing has had a life. I think it's been sold at Disneyland. It's been here. I think they still have it at, I know Jico has it. I think other restaurants have it. I think Sanaz had it at some point. It continues on long after Rivers of Light, the nighttime show at Animal Kingdom. This stupid glow cube. I say stupid. It's cute. It's well made. It's very pretty. But it's silly that it was made for a show that no longer exists. Anyway, the frozen lavender lemonade will be available beginning January 21st through February 28th at the Regal Eagle Smokehouse, Craft Drafts, and Barbecue at EPCOT. At the time of purchase, pass holders must present their valid annual pass ID from the Tickets and Passes section of their app and show a valid government-issued ID to buy lemonade. Also available beginning January 21st, the new pass holder exclusive magnet featuring Ray from The Princess and the Frog. The design celebrates Tiana's Bayou adventure, which opened at the Magic Kingdom back in June. Pass holders will be able to pick up their magnet from the Creation Shop in EPCOT. Walt Disney World marked 50 years of Space Mountain on January 15th with a private ceremony, fireworks, and celebrity memories. In a video shared by Disney, Mickey and his pals joined the Walt Disney World ambassadors Serena and Shannon outside of Space Mountain at the Magic Kingdom. They introduced clips of various celebrities and Walt Disney World executives. I assume just those they could get in more recent weeks when they realized the anniversary was coming. including Disney legend Josh Gad, who was not filmed at the park. Walt Disney World President Jeff Valley all shared their Space Mountain memories. There were more in there too. And then Donald Duck joined his friends at Space Mountain to launch some low-level fireworks from the attraction. This was not done for cast members. This wasn't done for the public. It was just done to be filmed, and it was thrown up for some reason in the evening of January 14th. 50 years it's a big anniversary. I know Walt Disney World doesn't, it took a long time for Walt Disney World to understand that the park anniversaries that weren't the year-long celebrations were a big deal to the people that love these places. And Walt Disney World really has no idea what to do with this anniversary. In defense of the PR people and the social media people, there was some very cute stuff they did, whether it was on the Parks blog or I saw some Instagram art they did, some stuff like that, which is great. I'm glad they did something. But in the end, in this video, there's like a cool 50th poster outside the attraction, and then we go there today and it's not there. Why wasn't this made a photo op for the day for everybody? It's made, it exists. Why couldn't they put a PhotoPass photographer with the sign there? They made no other merchandise except the 2 pins. We completely disregarded the fact that today is also 50 years of the Carousel of Progress at Walt Disney World when it moved to Walt Disney World, which is weird because 5 years ago they made a 45th anniversary shirt for Carousel of Progress, but for the 50th they're like, forget it. Who needs it? So it was a weird day. We had a great time. Thank you to everyone who showed up. I know like 70 or 80 of you showed up at the park to hang out with us today for the anniversary. Thank you so much for doing that. And so many of you are going to be celebrating it with us this weekend at Promising Tomorrows, whether in person or streaming. So thank you for that. So don't worry, if Disney World didn't do a good job celebrating Space Mountain's 50th, we sure as hell are going to this weekend. These balls might be involved. I don't know. Anyway. Disney has released a new aerial flyover video of the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World. The footage mostly features Main Street and Cinderella Castle, but also includes shots of Tiana's Bayou Adventure, the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Tron Light Cycle Run, and some Space Mountain there too. There are even some very cool clips that were taken during the fireworks show. You can watch the footage right here on our channel. This is, you know, in the past this would just be B-roll and it wouldn't be a big deal, but this is really cool footage, so it's cool that we got to share it. A large crane has arrived behind construction walls in Tomorrowland at the Magic Kingdom for the Astro Orbiter's refurbishment. The Astro Orbiter at the Magic Kingdom will be closed for refurbishment from January 13th into the summer of 2025. No exact date as of yet. A large yellow crane has arrived behind gray construction walls in Tomorrowland. The construction walls extend out into the walkway between the People Mover and Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin. From the People Mover, we had a better view over the construction walls at the crane. The lunching pad dining location to the left of the wall is still open at this time. Obviously, its seating area has been slightly affected. The elevators that usually take guests up to the Astro Orbiter's platform are currently blocked off with walls and a door with a locked gate. The elevator control boxes are also covered, and signage on the walls reads, Astro Orbiter, attention pilots. All flights have been grounded while we service your spacecraft. We'll be blasting off again soon. And if you heard that in the voice of the announcer from the Astro Orbiter, then this is where you belong watching a Disney fan news show. Because I can only hear it in that guy's voice every time, anything related to Astro Orbiter. This program is brought to you by our official travel agent sponsor, Be Our Guest Vacations. Your dream vacation begins with Be Our Guest and their concierge team of expert vacation planners. Head on over to beourguestvacations.com/WDWNT. Their team will design your next magical vacation from the Walt Disney World and Disneyland resorts to the Disney Cruise Line to Adventures by Disney and more. They're also able to book unforgettable VIP tours where you and your group can experience the ultimate park day. And the best part is their concierge services are 100% free. I paused for you today, sir. You keep complaining in the comments that I don't pause for you to yell free at me at home, but I did it today. But book today with them, please. By supporting them, you support us. I actually just booked, we're going to be going on the Disney Fantasy, not this weekend, because obviously the event's this weekend. Next weekend, they had a really good, this is kind of cheap cruise season. You get some really good discounts right now. And we found a deal for the Disney Fantasy we could not turn down. It was 20% off. Really good rates right now because it's low demand right now. It's, you know, it's the winter. But still, I mean, Disney cruises are fun whenever. So, you know, contact them. Disney World Vacation, Disneyland, whatever. They'll get you the best deal. That's what we use. Yes, they're a sponsor, but we do also use them. So keep that in mind. The 2 resident manatees of the Seas with Nemo and Friends at EPCOT have moved out. The manatee viewing area on the first floor of the Sea Base Aquarium is blocked by the blue curtains and rope. And the second floor viewing area is also blocked by rope, but you can still see inside. According to cast members, manatees Lil Joe and Inigo have been relocated to the Gulfarium Marine Adventure Park. Lil Joe has been a long time resident of EPCOT. At this point, I think he was compared to the attractions at EPCOT, he might be the longest standing based on how things have gone the last several years. But Inigo had only just arrived at the park back in September. This was soon after the manatee named Lou moved out as part of a broader set of manatee moves around the state under the recommendation of the Manatee Rehabilitation Partnership and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services. 3 male dolphins were also relocated to that Gulfarium Marine Adventure Park recently. The Seas will accept more critical needs, shorter-term manatee residents in the future rather than host long-term stays. Walt Disney World Entertainment host Steve Soares reported on X that new manatees will later move into the Seas as the facility shifts focus to that short-term rehab. This has not yet been confirmed by Disney. The manatees and dolphins moving out aren't the only changes at the Seas. There are currently construction walls up as the escalator is closed for refurbishment. They're working in what was the dolphin tank. The Dive Quest scuba experience is closed due to that construction. And Dive Quest may reopen as soon as March, but we don't know at this time. Cast members said work includes an expansion to the walkways through the tanks to better accommodate scooters and wheelchairs. They also said the park's professional divers have been practicing for emergency situations involving guests with disabilities. I'm concerned. I'm going to tell you why I'm concerned. I might be overreacting. Number one, though, I don't like when Disney doesn't give us a chance to go say goodbye to animals. This might sound weird. Lil Joe has been there forever. And I love him, and I'm so sad. And I'm telling you, when I get through the next couple weeks of work and we know he's there for sure, I think we're going to take a road trip to Gulfarium Adventure Park because I need to go say hello to Lil Joe. I miss him. That's so sad. We didn't get to say goodbye to Lou. We don't get to say goodbye to Little Joe. Now there's no manatees. We don't know when we're going to have manatees again. The manatees are one of the best attractions at EPCOT. There are people, myself included, I don't go to that park without stopping to see the manatees. I don't. I love them. And so this is very sad that we're going to be without manatees, at least for a little while. Disney gave us a slight correction. It was read in that story because all the information we got was just from the cast members on hand, and I think there was a very slight misquote from what a cast member said that we corrected. But in the end, like, that's all the information that was out there. Like, Disney didn't announce this in advance. They made a big statement about when Lou was leaving and when the dolphins were leaving. Like, we knew about that change and they had talked about it. This was very sudden and abrupt, and no one got a chance to even know this was coming, which I think is very, very strange. I would assume with short-term would be rehabilitation, and then I believe, someone correct me if I'm wrong, not my area of expertise, but short-term would mean really you're rehabilitating and then you would release back into the wild, which to me would mean you won't have any consistency in the manatee display, right? You could essentially have lots of periods where there are no manatees at the Seas with Nemo and Friends, which I think is sad. It's really sad. Lots of people make it a point to go visit them. Imagine going on a regular basis and you never know if there's even going to be anything for you to look at there. It's really sad. It's a shame. Here's what I'm worried about. Now, some of you may remember from our wilder days when we would ruin all of Disney's surprises, and that's why, Disney didn't like us for a long time. But of course, during that period, we put out a rumor that, the entire internet said we made up, which is something they said about all of them until, then they happen. But one of those rumors we had heard was phase 2 of the EPCOT expansion or reimagining. One of the long-term expected changes was Disney was thinking about essentially bulldozing the Seas with Nemo and Friends and the Land Pavilion. And the thought behind that would be that, again, this is under the Bob Chapek regime, but the thought process there was these are two very expensive pavilions to maintain. Wildlife is expensive to keep. And so they probably just didn't want to, they wanted to find an out. Like, do we need to continue to have wildlife at EPCOT? We obviously have a park that has wildlife. Is this a redundancy? I don't think it is, but nonetheless, I think that was the thought. And then as far as the land, living with the land and the greenhouse is not cheap to maintain. Do I think it pays for itself when they serve those fruits and vegetables and other things at restaurants across Walt Disney World? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I think obviously that was a rumor in 2019. Things change all the time, and COVID happened, which changed everything and every future plan for every park at that point. But some things certainly can follow through. So my concern is there are no more dolphins at the Seas. There doesn't seem to be a plan to bring dolphins back. There are now no plans to have manatees all of the time. The only positive news we have in here is them saying all these investments they're making in Dive Quest and around the rest of the pavilion would indicate that they're going to keep it. So I hope I'm being over dramatic. I hope that these things do not indicate that there is a plan in the next couple of years to maybe do away with this pavilion for something that Disney would deem more profitable, which would be an IP-based attraction of some kind. I mean, here's the thing. I know everyone likes Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, but it sets a dangerous precedent for EPCOT. And the precedent it sets is, well, we could build a really fun IP ride and it can replace something that is fundamentally EPCOT. And people will love it. And people are okay with the EPCOT of old being dead and buried and none of it existing anymore. And that's my fear. My fear is, I think we live in an age where there are no sacred cows. There aren't. Muppet Vision proves that. Muppet Vision, without a doubt, proves that. And I worry that the Seas Pavilion is not viewed as a sacred cow either. And there are no sacred sea cows, obviously, because we shipped the manatees off with no warning. It's sad. It makes me very sad. I just hope. Look, I understand EPCOT needs to evolve and change. I think there's a right way to evolve and change, and I'm not saying Guardians was a wrong decision. For me it is, but maybe it clearly worked. But fundamentally, there are things in EPCOT that have to remain, and some of that original DNA needs to carry through. And the Seas Pavilion does that well. It's perfect edutainment, right? I don't have a problem with IP characters. I don't have a problem when Nemo got wrapped in that pavilion. Do I prefer Sea Base Alpha? Yeah. That's my vibe. I grew up with 80s EPCOT. It was cool. It was neat. I like it. But at the same time, Nemo is a relevant franchise. It gets kids interested in the subject matter and then is used to teach kids about the seas. That's EPCOT. The same reason I like the Journey of Water with Moana. Inspired by Moana, excuse me. Because, yeah, it's IP ridden, but it also does achieve the vision of EPCOT. It teaches people about the water cycle, and it's also really pretty. So look, there are right and wrong ways to do modern EPCOT. I think a modern EPCOT without the Seas Pavilion in any way, shape, or form is a mistake. Do I think the Seas Pavilion needs a drastic update? I kind of do. I think that Nemo Dark Ride has lived its life. I think it's kind of dated. I think it's time for something new there, but and maybe a little freshening up throughout the rest of the building. But I would not want to lose the Seas Pavilion. And again, I hope I'm being over dramatic, but it is weird that suddenly the two most attended marine exhibits in the pavilion, which would be the manatees and the dolphins, are now both not there. It's odd, it's weird, it's strange, and it worries me quite a bit. So let me know how you feel in the comments, but I know when I almost think there's nothing left, there's nothing at Hollywood Studios or EPCOT they could still take from me that would make me like these parks even less than I do, which, for those of you who don't know the story, throughout my childhood, EPCOT was my favorite park, and as I got older, Hollywood Studios was. And both of those, everything I loved about them was taken from me. And now there are very few things left at Epcot, one of them being the Manatees, has now been taken from me. I have almost nothing left at this point. All I have is like the American Adventure, and I have to think of something else at Epcot I still like. I don't know. I mean, Figment still exists in some way, shape, or form. I guess that counts. I don't know. Let me know in the comments how you feel. I do have there's some positive Epcot news. Let's go to some positive Epcot news. The Voices of Liberty will don new costumes at the start of the 2025 Epcot International Festival of the Arts. Though debuting during the festival, the new costumes will be featured year-round, except during the holidays when the a cappella group wears their traditional Victorian caroler costumes. The group once wore colonial costumes, but these were retired when the singers returned to the American Adventure after the COVID-19 closure. Since then, they've worn these modern, kind of plain red and blue, dresses and suits. It hasn't been great, but quote, "We wanted to create a cohesive look that celebrated the grandness of the rotunda in which they perform and the impact of their musical presentation through incorporating a visual aesthetic of music itself," explained Josh, the costume designer with Disney Live Entertainment. The color palette is inspired by a vintage American flag. This allowed Josh to create unique looks for each performer while still coordinating with the whole group, illustrating how individual voices come together as one. The designs feature a streamlined architectural energy, said Disney, and it was essential to select fabrics that could be tailored well while providing the crisp construction needed. Costumer Aubrey sourced a sustainable fabric made from 50% or more recycled materials. The fabric could also be custom dyed to match the exact colors chosen by our designer, allowing us to achieve the intended vision as closely as possible. Of course, several Walt Disney World cast costumes introduced in the last few years have been made of recycled materials, part of the company's environmentality. The company's environmentally friendly initiatives, including that environmentality. The 2025 Epcot International Festival of the Arts begins on Friday, so the Voices of Liberty will be starting to wear those costumes on Friday. This is great. This is what we wanted, a return sort of back to form, but also new, comfortable, and recyclable costumes. That's great. Good to see, because I obviously didn't stop me from seeing the Voices of Liberty. They're wonderful. That's one of the things. There we go. The American Adventure, Figment, and the Voices of Liberty, things I still love to go see at Epcot, but either way. It's good. It's a good change. Speaking of other good things, Walt Disney World welcomed a litter of baby otters recently at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Disney's Animal Science and Environment VP, Dr. Mark Penning, shared photos of the pups and their mother on Instagram and Facebook. Now we just need him to go to Instagram and Facebook and tell us what's going on with the manatees. Anyway, these are Asian small-clawed otters, the smallest otter species. And it looks like there are at least 3 pups in the litter. Hard to tell, but the litter was born to Mom May, who is taking care of them backstage under the watchful eyes of the animal care team. Dad Kevin is also actively involved in the process of raising the pups. And Dr. Penning writes that over the next few months, the pups will reach key milestones like opening their eyes, trying solid foods, and learning to swim. Guests will be able to see the otter pups in person on Discovery Island soon. People asked why they don't have names yet. I assume it's because they can't get close enough to tell what they are. So they can't name them yet. So eventually they will. So not all animal species can they tell right away or get close enough to tell right away. So that's why. But people yelled at us on X. They're like, what is this, all caps? What are the names? Like, we don't know yet. We don't know their names. Brand new. People just yelling about otter names on the internet. Brand new live entertainment has arrived at Disney's Animal Kingdom. The Ecorhythmics are now performing in DinoLand, U.S.A. following the land's first phase of closures. You'll find the band set up in front of the roller planters blocking the Cementosaurus of Dinorama. Of course, Dinorama closed on Sunday. That include Triceratops Spin, Chester and Hester's Dinosaur Treasure Shop, and the Fossil Fun Games. This will all make way, Dinorama at least will make way for the Encanto attraction of the Tropical Americas, and they're going to retheme Dinosaur Treasures into a new store. The rest of the land is rumored to close in 1 year's time, as we talked about on the last show. But the Ecorhythmics will fill a need for more offerings in the park while there are less attractions to enjoy. The theme of the show is Reduce, Reuse, Recycle. The platforms and carts are decorated with repurposed items like life preservers, license plates, cooking pans, bike wheels, birdhouses, and more. And there's also some DinoLand touches like dinosaur prints on the license plates around the edge of the stage and dinos on the bike wheel spokes. There's even a Dinoco gasoline logo, which fits in with the old gas station theming of Dinorama, but also is a reference to Dinoco from both the Toy Story and Cars universes. According to cast members, the Ecorhythmics will perform 20 minutes after the hour daily, starting at 9:20 a.m. and going through 3:20 p.m. The band includes former Discovery Island drummers from the Flotilla. They have since, that's now done, that's gone. They have been performing on the Discovery River since 2020. I will say a lot of the performers in that show were also then from, pre-COVID, were from the Drum Circle show in Pandora. So there are some different performers, but some of them have carried through all of those drumming shows at Animal Kingdom. But there are 3 drummers in the band, each representing reduce, reuse, or recycle. And like their set, their costumes are also made of reused or recycled elements. They play various Disney songs, from classics like I Want to Be Like You from The Jungle Book to modern hits like How Far I'll Go from Moana. Their instruments include drums, crates, a xylophone, and more. And between songs, they talk about how their band came together and crack jokes. They also spread the message of conservation, explaining how they created their instruments from items like PVC pipe. The band also gets the audience to join in on the music, getting them to clap and sing along to Trash in the Camp from Tarzan. There's a part of me that loves that because I don't know if people remember Tarzan Rocks, but the crowd participation part of Tarzan Rocks was Trash in the Camp. You know, who remembers Snap, Snap, Woo, Snap, Snap? That was the thing. Look it up, kids. That was a thing in the show. And also, Jungle Book, who could forget everyone's favorite, The Jungle Book Alive with Magic. Never mind. All of Animal Kingdom's shows through history will be referenced by the time this news episode is over. Rivers of Light, Alive with Magic, Tarzan Rocks, we almost got all of them. The Orange Garage at Disney Springs is undergoing a refurbishment, and some levels will be closed during work. According to WW Magic, the refurbishment project began on Monday, January 13th. Levels 3, 4, and 5 of the garage will close at various times, and as such, parking at the Orange Garage will be limited. The Lime and Grapefruit garages will still be fully open for all the mental cases to park at who like those garages. Anyway, Disney did not announce how long construction would take. The refurbishment will focus on updates to the garage's lighting. The AI self-checkout system that was being tested by Disney at the End Zone food court at All-Star Sports has been removed, signaling the end of that trial period. We previously reported in December that the goal of the testing was to streamline the guest process of ordering and paying for food. The testing began on December 5th and lasted for 30 days. The new system was only tested at the All-Star Sports Resort, not anywhere else. Items that were off-menu or had adjustments had a harder time being identified and did not always scan properly, but a cast member was standing there to assist. The AI self-checkouts have all been removed. The standard checkout lines remain. Cast member we spoke to informed us that the people who worked with the system liked it, but they needed to work out the kinks. We were unable to confirm with the manager whether the test would take place again or even elsewhere, but at this time it's uncertain whether or not self-checkouts will return to Walt Disney World in the future. So actually, I went to SeaWorld recently, and they had this system in place, and it actually misread a condiment I was buying, and we got charged less than we were supposed to. So I asked the team member there, and they're like, it's fine. And so we just paid and we left. So yeah, it's not a perfect system. It's they're using the same one, but just pay people. The Disney difference is people. It's in the cast members. They are the magic. So let's just use cast members. The few dollars will be worth it, Disney. I promise you. The My Disney Experience and the Disneyland apps are now allowing iPhone users to track their mobile orders from their home screen. After making an order in either app, guests will now see the order on their homepage thanks to the Live Activities feature of iOS. Guests can tap the I'm Here, Prepare My Order from the home screen without reopening the app even, and tracking of the order will then show up. A bar tracking the order also shows up at the top of the screen when the phone is unlocked. The Live Activities space will show when your order is ready, the pickup location, and the order number. If you have push notifications turned on, a regular notification saying your food is ready will also pop up on the home screen. The update is rolling out as of this week, so it may not be immediately available for all iOS users, but if you don't see the Live Activities feature, make sure your app and phone are up to date. Construction walls are up at the entrance to Disneyland Park and Disney California Adventure as crews work on the next set of new entrance gates. At Disneyland Park, at the entrance, beige-colored walls surround one of the central sections of gates. Construction began on the Disneyland gates last fall. The first of the park's new tap styles opened on the left side in late 2024, although they weren't fully yet operational. Now that the busy holiday season is over, Disney is ready to continue work on the new gates. They will use facial recognition technology, which was tested at Disney California Adventure back in May of last year. The Disneyland construction walls are decorated with blue panels featuring stars. Some are branded with the Disneyland Resort wordmark, and others ask guests to pardon our pixie dust as we refurbish this area for your future enjoyment. The right half of the Disneyland entrance still has the old tap-style system, or turnstiles in that case. And construction work will likely continue to move down the gates as each section is completed. They expect this to be completed sometime this year. The final Tiana animatronic on Tiana's Bayou Adventure in Disneyland has been broken for over a month now. The broken audio animatronic is in the finale scene, standing on the patio of her New Orleans house with the band of critters. While Tiana's eyes and mouth still move, appearing to sing the attraction's song Special Spice, she has been standing stubbornly straight and with stiff arms since at least December 13th. And when we checked on her on January 14th, there had been no change. The animatronic is usually able to sway and move her arms in a wide range of motion. Tiana's Bayou Adventure officially opened to all Disneyland guests on November 15th. It opened at the Magic Kingdom back in June. They've had some animatronic problems on both coasts. Disneyland's looked great. Those first, we went to the Magic Key preview, it looked great. The media event looked great. And so here's why problems are to be expected. This is the first of this generation of animatronics in the U.S. We've had these, we've had a lot of these for a little bit in Asia, but we haven't really seen these in a lot of other places yet. So I imagine the U.S. maintenance teams are getting used to these. So, you know, it's been a rough transition. The Disneyland ride seemed like it was faring better than Florida, but, you know, it's just this one figure, not all of them, but hopefully they get it figured out. And for those of you, I know people are going to come in and say, Splash Mountain worked great, blah, blah, blah. It did not. Splash Mountain was always a disaster. And by the way, some of the former Imagineers who are coming this weekend to speak actually worked on the installation of Splash Mountain at Disneyland, and apparently it was a disaster for a while after it opened. So, you know, hindsight, you know, sometimes we like to forget things for the sake of saying things are worse now. And don't get me wrong, I just talked about how I hate EPCOT now compared to back then, but in some cases, sometimes we're just being a little overcritical. It's important to remember that. Historical context, very important. The highly anticipated Haunted Mansion Bride Souvenir Sipper is finally available at Disneyland. The Haunted Mansion Bride Sipper is $35. It's a ghostly shade of blue, and she stands solemnly holding a candelabra and a bouquet. Her face glows blue while her beating red heart glows within her chest as a heartbeat sounds from a speaker in her back. I love this because many of you probably remember the old Haunted Mansion Bride, and this is kind of a callback, and hopefully the new bride at Disneyland is a callback to that original. The candles of her candelabra will also flicker when she's activated. The bride's head is removable. No, this isn't a connection to Constance Hatchaway. It's not that her head's been, you know, lobbed off. It's because this is where the drink goes. The back of the bride has the straw of the sipper, which closes into the back of the bride's head, and a black pinstripe strap is attached to either side of the sipper with various Haunted Mansion motifs and the Disney Parks logo. The sipper is available at the Golden Horseshoe, the Harbor Galley, and Stage Door Cafe. It's priced at $35 with a limit of 2 per person per transaction. Of course, the Haunted Mansion is set to reopen on January 18th with that new bride, as it's rumored. Disney hasn't said anything yet, but the sipper does seem to confirm that. We're also expecting a brand new projection-based hitchhiking ghost scene at the end of the attraction as well, and maybe some other changes. We'll have to wait and see. We'll find out next week, or not next week, it's this weekend. Sorry, there's just so much going on. A new Big Hero 6 Megabot Sipper will be available for purchase at California Adventure beginning on Friday, January 17th. The Megabot Sipper is $23.29. The Sipper is already listed on the menus for the Lucky Fortune Cookery and Cocina Cucamonga at in the Disneyland app. Both restaurants are in the Big Hero 6 land called San Francisco Square. The Sipper is inspired by Hero's robot as seen in the early stages of Big Hero 6. The Megabot Sipper has a detachable strap featuring San Francisco iconography like posters on a brick wall. It'll include the guest's choice of fountain beverage at time of purchase. There's a limit of 2 per person per transaction. No discounts apply. The Sipper's release date coincides with the kickoff of Lunar New Year at DCA, which Nana and Ashton will be there to cover. We'll, of course, Eric and I will be at, and Wendy and Allie. We'll all be at EPCOT this Friday for the kickoff of the Festival of the Arts. Lots of festival coverage on top of promising tomorrow's a very busy weekend for us here at WDWNT. Disney Pal-Palooza, Vanellope's Sweet Pop World, has begun at Tokyo Disneyland, and it features a new parade, the It's a Schweetzful Time. You can watch that full parade right here on our channel. And of course, in the midst of all that, they also opened It's a Small World with Groot, the psychotic overlay of the Disneyland classic featuring Marvel characters and Marvel music. It is why that entrance loop is insane. Hava Nagila next to the Avengers theme is, I did not have that on my 2025 bingo card, and I assume no one else on this planet did. But you could also go watch It's a Small World with Groot, the full ride through right here on our channel. For the absolute latest on these stories and all that didn't make it into today's show, be sure to check WDWNT.com and follow us on all your favorite social media platforms. You can support the entire team behind this show and others by joining the WDWNT Interglobe Society at patreon.com/WDWNT. Get access to exclusive content, discounted show and event tickets, and more. Special shout out to all our WIGS members watching who make this show happen every week. For the worldwide leader in Disney Parks news, this is Tom Corliss saying, enjoy the rest of your today and have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. And now I'm going to go jump in a Space Mountain ball pit.